Right. And do you have any insight into kind of like what's going on psychologically with the game, with Cards of Humanity? What is it that hits people in this way that makes it spread so much?
That's interesting. I mean, I think it was the right place and the right time. I mean, culturally, you had the Obama election and you had this, I mean, it really was a time of excitement and hope and change in America. And I think people were just like, there was like this kind of like fun, I just think there was this like joyful, fun, like reclaiming of political discourse where it was like you had this really frightened, locked down conservative political discourse in the country for 8 years under the Bush administration. And people kind of came out of that and they were like, wow, like it's like we're going to have a national conversation about race, and we're going to nationally, we're going to have a conversation about gay rights and all of these things that were just, I mean, people forget. It's like in 2004, John Kerry lost his election because of gay marriage. That was the single issue that the Republicans seized upon to win a national election in this country. It is so fast. It's breakneck speed that like, what was it like really like 5-6 years later, gay marriage is the law of the land. And it's like, well, where do we go from, it was such a taboo that people were voting against John Kerry because he was in favor of gay marriage, to law of the land, and everyone is more or less okay. We've kind of dealt with it. We're more or less okay with it. Now we have, people, we don't even care who serves in the military, who gets married. It's just, that's the law. I don't know. It's just like something changed, something snapped in the culture. I'm grateful for it. I love it. I hope it doesn't mean that Trump gets elected president now in America. But I think especially in the US, it's like we just rode this wave of a loosening up of the culture and of the language, and it was the right sort of comedy timing for us. I think we also sort of rode a tabletop games boom. Like I think people spend a lot of time on computers. They're very lonely. They're very isolated from each other, and we offered people an opportunity to do this sort of old-fashioned analog in-person thing with their friends that's not mediated by screens. And again, that's lucky, right? It was the right place and the right time for that idea to strike. And we also probably rode like a kind of an exciting indie games wave, because around when cards was getting popular, there was lots of press and attention being paid to this like kind of weird sideshow of like independent games. And we got lots of attention for being part of that.
I also think there's this element of that you helped people be funny in front of their friends, by giving them the structure, by giving them cards that almost any combination is funny in the game, and then suddenly you help people rock. It's kind of one of these things that people talk about in product development, like help your customer look good in some way. Yet at the same time, they get to exercise this sort of misanthropic view of the world with having permission to say things that would be really offensive if they were like actually saying it, but they can just put down a card and everybody laughs.
Yeah, I think there's absolutely. I think there's sort of two ideas there that are really interesting. The first thing is, we sometimes get flack from like professional comedians and comedy writers and stuff, and they're like, oh, like why would anyone play Cards Against Humanity? It's just these like pre-written jokes, and it's just fill in the blank, and you're just like
kind of like, why would anybody use a Mac computer? There's no command line on it, sort of.
Right? Yeah. Why would you have a GUI on the computer, right? Because why not just go into the bash and do everything? Write everything in assembly. Well, it's like, I get it. I mean, if you're a funny person, funny people hang out with other. Funny people are like they're like damaged misanthropes, and they hang out with other damaged misanthropes. I feel like as a member of the damaged misanthrope community, I feel qualified to say this. But you know what I mean? It's like they're living this weird singular world of like this like insular world of like people taking improv classes and complaining about their lives, and everyone is hilarious. You have no idea how rare it is for people to be funny and make their friends laugh, but people take for granted what a special feeling that is to have. People you glow for a whole day. If you get that line that makes your group of friends laugh, it's like you get that great feeling for hours. It's like a high, right? And it is a special experience to get to have that. So I do think that's, I mean, really that is the core sort of like animalistic pleasure of Cards Against Humanity. It's like you get to play this thing and people laugh, and it's kind of a controlled, safe way to do it where you're not going to risk that people hate you. The second thing is, it's kind of upsetting to me to say this, but cards is like an incredible icebreaker game. As someone who was like forced throughout his life to play like a lot of like just absolute shit icebreaker games in college and stuff, like games to help you like get to know people or whatever. Those games are terrible. And I hate them and they're bad. And I hate that people consider cards to be part of that genre. But however, I have seen it work really well. And I've heard tons of stories from people of how great of an icebreaker cards is. And, I've thought about it a little bit. And the best I can figure, it's like when when you meet people, the sort of central fear when you're in this new group of people is like, will these people accept me? Will we share the same values? Will we be part of the same tribe? Will I say the wrong thing? Will I be shunned? Will I be exiled? And then where's everyone's like lines? What's the tone here? And what cards does is it in a way that's in game design and in theaters, there's this term called the magic circle, which is like this: everyone is accepting the alternate reality of the play or the game that substitutes for the everyday logic of their own reality. And within the magic circle of the game, cards makes everyone say the wrong thing. That is the game. You're saying the wrong thing that no one should ever say. And in a way, it's sort of like for a group of people who are just meeting or getting to know each other, it's like everyone's going to come out. They're going to say the absolute wrong, inappropriate thing. Everyone's going to laugh at it. And then it's like, okay. We're all human beings. We all have a sense of humor. We're all on the same team here.